Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my podcast, Finding the You in Mum. I'm Christine Bagley-Jones, and today my guest, Christina Stoddart, is such a wonderful guest to have on the program because she comes from this world of beauty and creativity and education. As the founder of Diamond Diversity, she's built a successful international hair and makeup business, and it's really inspiring to understand how she's been able to diversify her career while also thriving as a mum and educator. So many hats Christina is wearing, and she's able to demonstrate how you can balance all of these different arms of life while still maintaining some kind of grace and enjoyment. So welcome to the program, Christina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about the journey of becoming a mum. Was it something that you'd planned, or was it something a little bit more on the surprise side of the fence?
No, so I actually didn't want to be a mum. Having children wasn't in my plan. I'm very career driven, and my husband was really big on having a family, and I love him deeply, and I had some very, I guess, in-depth conversations with myself over a few years and told myself like yes, like we'll do this, we'll just go ahead. I had it all mapped out in my head what I was going to do when we were going to plan it and whatnot. And it all happened earlier than what I thought, through my entire plan out the window. I was not one of those women that was excited when I found out. I was actually completely devastated and rode that 9 month ride with, I guess, undiagnosed.
Perinatal depression?
But now that I understand a whole lot more, I see exactly what happened. So yeah, that was how it all happened. It was a
And
whirlwind.
you've got two daughters. How old are your daughters?
Yeah, so my youngest turns 5 in a couple of days, and my oldest is 7.
Yeah.
And I knew, being an only child myself, I knew that if I was going to have one, I wasn't just going to have one. I was going to have another because I know what it's like to feel lonely, and I wanted a little friend. And sometimes I'm like, why did I do that? But
Is it
here
starting to
we
feel a
are.
little bit, is it feeling a bit easier for you now that they're that little bit older and a little bit more independent?
Yes and no. Yes
Yes.
and no. They like fiercely love each other and fiercely hate each other at the same time. Every day is different.
So tell me a little bit more about how you blend your career because it does sound like you have a very vibrant career in the space of
Mhm.
makeup and beauty, and it feels like you do a lot of different ways to pursue that career. How do you do that with two young little girls?
Do you know what? It actually comes down to having an incredible partner. There, I could not do what I have done or achieve what I have achieved without my husband. He knew coming into this whole thing that that really was first and foremost my, it sounds so horrible to say, but like my main priority was, or is still essentially my career, and that he would need to take on a really strong role of being around and helping with the children. I wasn't going to be able to do that solely by myself and still achieve what I have. So that, yeah, it's really down to great partnership.
Yeah. And I guess also just being really transparent at the onset that, like, this is not more his gig
Mhm.
than your gig. And even though you're going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of, carrying, gestating the baby and everything, overall, the project has to be very shared because it's not a burning desire within yourself. So I love that, I guess, that truth around, I'm happy to do this, willing to do this extremely, in my opinion, generous gesture as your partner and have this family that he obviously clearly desires. But he had to come in eyes wide open, knowing that he was going to have to contribute significantly and be very committed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit more about some of the shocking truths of motherhood because I feel like you probably have a treasure trove of information that you're like, this is something I just hadn't factored.
I think like I'm an insanely busy human being, and before children I thought I was really busy. I truly did. I was like, there's no way I could be busier than what I am. And then I had kids and I was like, whoa, this is a whole nother level. You really just don't understand until you're in it. And it's navigating two other little humans' lives on top of, your career, your own mental health, everyone around you. For me, also all of my students, like there is so much to navigate. And I'm the kind of person that's like, yeah, we'll just do it. I don't even think twice about it. Someone gives me a task, that's easy, let's do it. We'll just jump into it. Now we're just going to go ahead, we're just going to do it. But wow, I really wasn't as ready as I thought I was to make it all work
So
as seamless as I can.
what are you finding is the biggest struggle these days, 5, 7 years into the project of parenting with a business?
It's probably the time management side of things, and that you can't actually predict things to go the way you plan. I've got some OCD issues. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I have things mapped out a lot in my mind. And when they don't quite go to plan, I do get very overwhelmed. And so I think you've got all these appointments, or you've got assessment days, or whatever, and then a child gets sick, or something happens, and it's totally out of your control. All of that gets thrown in the mix. I think I've just come to peace with knowing that I'm only one person who can
Yes.
only do so much, and I have to protect my inner peace. And it's something that it's really only taking me until this year to realize and learn as well.
So please share a little bit more about how you're protecting your inner peace, because I feel like that's at the heart of where a lot of people are struggling. And I really do identify with you saying that perinatal depression is quite a phenomenon
Yeah.
that people don't tend to talk about, because when you're in it, you're not really conscious. Is this part of the pregnancy? Is this normal? Is this just hormonal or sleep deprivation? Or am I actually quite depressed or anxious? And the way we would manage it is so different if we just knew that information while it was happening. But so often people come to me once they've had the baby and they're looking back retrospectively, either because they're feeling better and they're like, oh my God, what was that? Or it's actually protracted into a postnatal depression, which is also very familiar. But am I right in assuming you dodged that bullet, but it was the perinatal depression that you
Yeah.
experienced?
Absolutely. So in that first pregnancy, I was in probably one of the darkest places I've ever been in my life. And I feel like I'm a very outgoing, bubbly, energetic, like
Mm.
positive human being. Like that was not me. Like, if you had have met me in that time, I was like a shell of myself. It was absolutely horrific, and I was violently ill the whole time.
Yes,
And I don't know how, but I really fell through the cracks through the health
system.
system,
Yeah,
and it really wasn't picked up. I lost 14 kilos in my pregnancy. I probably, in hindsight, probably should have been hospitalized, but never was.
yeah.
And it was probably in the last, I'm going to say the last maybe 6 weeks of my pregnancy, that one of my family members was so, so worried about me that she said, I think you need a doula. And I was like, what is that? I've
Mm.
never heard of that in my life. And I found this doula, and I tell you what, she was my saving grace. She
Ha-
was my absolute
Wonderful.
saving grace.
How did she save you? What was it that she offered in those final few weeks that made things so much better?
Yeah. So she completely advocated for my feelings and my mental health and my mental state. I remember the first conversation with her, and it was just to reach out to her. I think I cried continuously for an hour, and she was like, this is not normal, and you
Mm.
shouldn't feel this way. She had been in the hospital system as a midwife and a nurse for over 35 years, so she knew what she was doing.
She knew her
And
stuff.
I have a lot of anxiety, and a lot of it is triggered by health related things. Every time I was going to appointments, I was throw in with something like, you've got gestational diabetes and all these negatives, and you can't do this and you can't do that. I was so overwhelmed, and I didn't feel like I had any voice. I was quite scared, actually, on top of having, like, I guess, this prenatal depression. And she came in and she was literally my backbone and advocated for me and told me, what my rights were and what was right and wrong and what I could do to fix it. And I honestly, I don't know where I would have been if it wasn't for her, because my poor husband is. a lot more introverted than I am, and he could see all the struggles and had no idea what to say or what to do, and he felt helpless and he was scared himself, seeing me this completely different person. And so she was amazing. She really was.
It sounds like a godsend, and I'm really glad that you
Yeah.
chanced upon her in such a timely fashion because it sounds like she
Mm,
validated what you were feeling, but she was also normalizing it as well, in that where you're at right now is more intense than what I normally see. I think we need to do more to support you here. And that flag would have been maybe enough to give you permission to think, okay, I need to be very proactive around my self care and realize that I do need a lot of help to get through this. So I'm really glad that that happened. And
yeah.
I'm really glad that it sounds like after the birth of your first little girl, things did get better.
Yeah, as soon as she arrived, I was instantly back to myself. It was the most bizarre thing
Maybe you
ever
just don't like being an
experienced.
incubator.
Me and pregnancy are not good friends. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah, I believe you. So back to what
Yeah.
I was talking about before about how you keep those, I was thinking, rituals, or how do you preserve that sense of self? You were going to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think I'm still navigating that as well. Honestly, things change all the time. I'd really like to do more meditation, which is something that it's just a time thing. And I know people say you just got to make time, but I always say if you could be 20 minutes in my day, in my shoes, in my brain, you would understand it's actually not that easy. And when
Mm,
people tell you things like, you just need to stop, you just need to take a break, or you just need to say no, like,
yeah.
I'm not a silly person and I understand all of those concepts. Your information that you're providing me is actually not helpful right now. Um,
Assume I
it,
already know these things and I'm trying to work within that, but there's
it's,
limitations.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm absolutely trying my best here. But I think music for me is a big thing. Any moment that I can have quiet time is like I relish that. Like it is so cherished. Like just even that drop off for the children to my work. It's about 30 minutes once I drop them off.
Mm,
And I just sometimes drive with no sound at all. Just no
yes.
sound. Or I'll listen to a really good podcast about, I love self-help things. So anything about mindfulness or bettering who you are or spirituality, that is like those little nuggets that I hold on
Mm,
to really help keep me grounded, to
mm.
make it all balanced and
And
keep me
sometimes it's
sane.
just those little tips that you get, and it's the right time, the right day. You might be traveling to work and your head's all full. And then you listen to that podcast that just reminds you of something quite simple, but it's accessible and it's in that moment. It feels really relevant and helpful.
Ah, all the time. It happens to me all the time.
Mm,
I'm just like, I needed to hear that. Oh, wow,
mm.
that's amazing. I need to go and find that. And like lots of little things have just really opened my eyes and made me understand so much more about my children and about myself and
Just
environment.
can you?
Like,
Okay, let's just have a look. Sorry.
okay.
I love technology when it works, you know.
Yeah,
So,
same.
no, you're back on. No, I think it was just a temporary glitch. Awesome. Christine's just gone to the bathroom. So,
No worries.
hey, I love your glasses, by the way.
Ah, thank you. I have about 13 to 15 pairs, all different colors and glitters and everything.
Do you know Christine's like that? She had, well, she's notorious for losing glasses. I don't know what it is. They're like so literally they're strategically placed everywhere. So
Yeah.
yeah, she'd probably have about as many as that. So I've just noticed you've got a bit of an accent going on there.
Yes, I'm from New Zealand.
Yeah, I didn't pick that up
Yeah.
actually. All right.
I've been here a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it was only when just something that you said that is that twang, and I was like, oh, there it is. So
Yeah.
I'll pass you back.
Thank
Not
you.
sure, but everything's good. Everything's set up. You've obviously just.
I didn't bump anything. That's okay. I didn't bump a thing. Ask Christina. I didn't even move.
Nothing.
And all this can be edited out, so don't worry.
And it's definitely still a recording. Ah, okay. Where were we? We were talking about taking time, music, travel, serendipity with
Yeah.
Okay, so I might just say, so it feels like sometimes when you are needing that message, it's almost like serendipity in that it comes at the right
Mhm.
time and you're able to sort of, do you find you're actioning it that very like day? Like, okay, today,
Oh yeah,
yeah, just be inspired, take that
uh,
opportunity.
absolutely.
Yep.
Anything that can help.
And so it sounds like you're a bit of a library of self-help information because you're absorbing so
Mm.
much. What would be like, give me a really nice little piece of advice that you could offer mums that are struggling with balancing, being a mum and also their careers or their other pursuits?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you just have to give yourself a minute to realize that you are just one person doing this. Like what you feel and what is in your mind, what is in your heart, like you can express it, but no one really feels it except for you because it's your inner voice really. And I think you need to give yourself that space to take a minute and realize that you are doing your best. And if your best is just this much on that day, then that's okay. If you can go to sleep and go, I did what I could today, and tomorrow's a new day and I'll try something else, or, I'll whatever, then that's what you do instead of beating yourself up or comparing yourself to others. We just need to give ourselves
Bit
praise
of a
for
break.
what we can do. Yeah,
Yeah.
give ourselves a break.
So that sounds like you really practice self-compassion. And are you good at that? Because you also mentioned that you like to control things and you got a little bit of OCD in you and that, you got a
Yeah,
plan. How do you feel when
yeah.
you've set a beautiful plan for yourself and it's somehow been dismantled either through your own doing or something external?
hmm Look, I'm not going to lie, I get quite frustrated depending on the gravity of what it is. I can get quite overwhelmed as well. But if it's something little, it's just general frustration, and then I'm an instant fix it kind of person. So it's like, well, what can I do? If I can't do anything, I'm like, oh, it is what it is, and I'm moving on. If I can do something, I will find a way to work around it and just problem solving instantly.
So
But
that brings
yeah.
peace for you. If you can like be solution focused in that moment and say, well, what can I do? That will bring some ease in. Always been able to just let it go, or is that something you've had to really practice?
I think, again, depending on the level of what it is, I've had to practice it.
Mm.
Definitely had to practice it because as you grow as a person, certain things won't bother you as much as they did previously. And I think having children shows you that. Like my OCD is really intense. And an example being that, every 3 months I would literally wash the walls in my house.
Wow.
Like I do an insane deep clean. And when people would say, well, you can't do that when you have children, like you're just not going to have time. And I'm like, you watch me. And so probably for the first 3 years, like, don't challenge me like that.
Challenge accepted.
And this is exactly how my mind is. If someone tells me you can't do something, I'm going to do it 50 times harder than what I would have just to prove a point that yes, you can. And so for the first 3 years, I think that I definitely was still that person, which was tough, but it was also, I think, mentally like something I could control and felt like I could stay on top of with all the other chaos around me. It kind of worked. And I moved into an older Queenslander, and there's no amount of cleaning an old Queenslander that makes it look. And it was through moving into that house that I realized, oh, just relax,
You
girl.
got to
Like,
surrender. This is
yeah,
I'm never
like,
going to
yeah.
win. The timber wins.
Never gonna win. You might spend a whole day cleaning your house and then you have 30 seconds to appreciate it before it turns upside down again. And I'm like, I
Exactly.
don't want to waste my energy. Like, don't get me wrong, my house is still immaculate, but I'm not cleaning any walls anymore. So, like, I've learned a balance
Yes.
to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, isn't it? Because like you can have all of the desires that you want as you're younger and as you're, less encumbered with responsibilities, but having that ability to just shift it up and say, this isn't working for me anymore. I can't keep having this sounds to me almost fanatical approach to cleanliness,
Oh,
but
completely.
ease it off so that I can, and it's not just even your point around I only get to enjoy it for 5 minutes before it's messy again. It's also the trade off. What else could I have been doing during those hours every 3 months when I, got the overalls on and just scrubbed for 1 or 2 days? What else could I have been doing that might have been more cup filling and more current to what, you're actually desiring and who you are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You could not have said it any better.
I can sense in you, Christina, a really strong determination, just your character alone. Where does that originate from? Like, where have you inherited from one of your caregivers growing up, or where does it live?
I don't know, and I would love the answer to that, honestly. I joke with people like I came into this world like, bring it on. I wasn't taught any of this. My family are not like this. I'm like the polar opposite. I guess perseverance, maybe from some family members, determination was just magically gifted to my soul when I came into this world.
You're
And I
welcome,
am so
universe.
thankful. Yes. Gosh,
Yes.
I am so thankful for it. The confidence and the determination was just there, and I can't explain it.
But yeah, I agree with you. It is a superpower. Just to be able to get back up every day, no matter what adversity you're facing, and just push through. Now, I
Mhm.
detect an accent. You're originally from NZ,
Yeah, yeah. From Auckland.
and have you got most of your family and support still over there, or are they here?
My family's sort of scattered everywhere, but I have a very interesting dynamic where I have removed myself from pretty much most of my family, I guess, to also save my own peace of mind.
Can I ask
Um,
when you made that decision?
that decision happened with some much earlier on, maybe sort of 10 years ago, but more recently with the closest family members of mine within the last 3 years.
Yeah. And how do you feel now that you've made that break?
I feel really light now. I feel really light and I'm very much at peace with my decision. So it has opened up many doors for further exploration of my own self and my thought processes and how I want to parent. It's definitely lifted a huge burden off my chest, which is sad, to be
Yeah.
fair. It's sad, but
Was it a
it
big
again,
decision to
it is
make?
a huge,
Yeah.
huge decision.
Mm.
Very emotional, very, yeah, it wasn't fun at all.
And do you feel it's something that you'll eventually circle back to, or do you feel like right now this is going to be ongoing in that you're going to be riding quite solo in terms of your intimate family structure or family of origin, rather?
Oh, I will be solo for life. I have no doubt
Mm,
about that. I've
mm,
made peace with that, and I'm now as a grown woman myself with my own young family. I think that it's really important to have really strong boundaries, and unfortunately, boundaries come in all shapes and sizes, and you as a parent are s- setting an example and paving, your situation for your family moving forward too. So, especially young girls, they need to know what is okay and what isn't okay. And I'm teaching them that, I guess,
And
with empathy, though.
yep. Yep. And also just eyes
Yeah.
wide open. I think it's very mature of you to be able to say, this isn't working for me. And, I'm sure you realize you're not alone in people that have had to, for whatever reason, divorce their family of origin, where they've said,
Yeah.
this isn't serving me in a healthy way. Often people stay in these relationships because they feel they don't have a choice or they're obliged to, or society will shun them if they don't continue to embrace their family of origin, instead of actually just saying to yourself, is this healthy? Is this in line with my values and my aspirations and my long term well being? So it feels like you've done a lot of soul searching to arrive at these conclusions, but you've got the outcome
Mm.
that you're after.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with what you've said. I think a lot of it is taught behavior from generations where you just put up with the behavior because it's family and you have to.
Mm,
And I'm of the mindset that absolutely not.
mm,
Like, that's just a really horrible, toxic way to think about it. Then
mm,
nothing changes. No
mm,
cycles are broken, no behaviors get changed, no one takes accountability. I don't want my girls being like that. I want them to be accountable. I want them to pull people up on their behavior and understand and try to help make this world a better place.
Yep, that sounds wonderful. So
So,
if you wanted
mm,
well, how would you like your girls to describe you beyond the role of being a mum? If they were to see you outside of that, what would you love them to say about you?
I'd love for them to say that I'm fiercely passionate, determined, kind, empathetic, a little bit crazy.
That sounds like the perfect cocktail. In your
Yeah.
journey so far, which sounds like it's been dynamic, I reckon we could talk for hours just about the different twists and turns
Mm,
that have arrived you to where you are. Have you had periods or bouts where you felt particularly lonely?
yeah. Oh, only just recently. I just, I think as we go through, our cycles and our hormones change and stuff, only a few weeks ago, I had a moment where I was like, I am so lonely in this
Yeah.
journey. And I'm not. I have made my own family with the most incredible human beings around me. I'm very blessed. And I know I have so much love. And if I need anything, anyone is there. But again, it's different. It's that, internal no one really truly understands because everyone is so unique. So yeah, I did only a few weeks ago sort of have a moment where I was like, I feel really lonely
What did you do
in
to
all of
remedy
this.
it, or what did you do to feel differently?
Well, I mean, it's still recent. So, I mean, it was just conversation actually with my husband initially and talking about my feelings and coming up with some kind of plan. I'm going overseas in a couple of weeks. So, there's things I want to do when I get back that
Why are you
involve
going
him as
overseas, can
well.
I ask?
I'm doing a pageant over there. So I do hair and makeup for Team Australia and we're off to America. So that's happening in a
That's
couple of weeks.
so
And
exciting.
that is another thing. Getting on that plane by myself and disappearing for a few weeks is going to fill my cup completely so that I come back refreshed essentially
I think that's
without the,
lovely.
you know,
Yeah, it's especially
people
nice to
needing
hear you
stuff from
say
me.
that. Yeah, I
Mm.
have a lot of mums that feel guilt at that point, and I'm really enjoying the fact that you're saying, no, I could go. This is, good for me, good for my family. Not going to, harbor any unnecessary guilt. How did you manage to achieve that? Because you must know that, more typically women would more often say, oh, I've got to go overseas. And I know I went overseas to be trained with Brene Brown's team a few years ago, and I had a particularly young baby at the time, and I didn't feel that guilty. I felt just excited. I wanted them all to be
Yeah.
safe, but I also felt that, I deserved this and this was going to be good. But a lot of other people would always ask me, did you feel, how'd you go with feeling guilty, like leaving them? And I was like, I felt okay. So what about you? Tell me about how you felt.
Oh, zero guilt.
You're just
I
looking
just,
forward
I
to it.
don't understand. I just don't understand that. I feel like if you are not feeling good within yourself and your cup is not filled, how can you give to others? Anyone around you, you can't. You need to feel good inside, and then obviously, then you radiate all of that to everybody around you. So I had a plan, I had a goal. So it took me 5 years to get overseas. I wanted to get overseas with one of the pageant systems. That was my goal. It took me 5 years to get there. And my daughter was 18 months old when it happened. And everyone around me was telling me, not one person was saying anything positive about it. You can't go. You can't leave your child. You can't leave your baby. No, you can't do that. Oh, you're not going to cope. Like, oh, you're going to miss them. All of that. And I'm like, absolutely not. And I got on that plane and I was like, see ya. There was nothing for me that had any regret. Maybe closer to the end of the week, I was like, oh, I just want to cuddle, But it wasn't anything like I wasn't feeling guilty because I knew that I was ticking off one of those goals that was so high up on my list. I was so proud of myself. I did it all on my own bat and I was reaping those benefits, finally getting to go to America. I'd always wanted to go. And I was going to come back a different person because when you travel, you see different things and it changes you. And I love that. And I was going to come back to my daughter an even better human being. And so I'm like, why would anyone not want that? And so
Congratulations.
it always blows me away. And people are like, I can't believe you leave your kids. As your kids get older, though, and I have conversations, I now get, oh, you're so lucky. Oh, I would love to just go away. I need a break. And it's so funny, like, and people are not saying that. I have more people now realizing, like, it's actually okay.
And what do you reckon that
It's
is?
actually
Do you
okay.
reckon that women are becoming more realistic around what should be expected of them? And also just the health and well-being of their child doesn't have to always just pivot on, you being around their orbit 24/7. Like if you're building,
Yeah.
a family and you want them to be robust, is there a shift that women are allowing themselves not to have to be the linchpin of it all? Or is it something else?
I think that it is possible that we are waking up a little bit more and realizing we're not in the 1950s anymore. Like there is, there's more men coming to the table on a social media platform showing that they are taking on a lot of the roles that women have. And I think a lot more women are seeing like, oh, that can be done. And these are the partners I should be choosing essentially to help me with that. But I think that social media is nasty in the way where it puts as expectation on women that they should be that mum. They should be doing these things. And I've never fallen into that space. I'm a very genuine person and I just find that gross because not everyone has the capacity to do that.
What
So
would you?
I don't know if it's social media that's helped that or women just realizing they want more for themselves. I'm not
But
too
it's a good
sure.
thing. What advice would you give a woman that's on the precipice of wanting to lean more into that balance where she can honor her own dreams and aspirations while still being a dedicated, loving mum? I mean, that's the thing we want to remember. Like, we're not suggesting we don't want to be dedicated, completely attentive parents. We're just saying there's room for us as well. What advice would you give to
Absolutely.
someone that was wanting to do it but still feeling the pull of either guilt or society or hesitation or not even knowing the first step?
Do you know what? One thing I would say is other people's opinions don't matter for a start. Is that person's opinion going to pay your bills? Like, probably not. So, firstly, don't worry about what other people think. Worry about what makes you feel good. And like you said, following through and doing the things that you want to do, whether it's going back to work or, changing career or whatever, while still being a mum, just do it because it's better to live regretting doing something than to sit back and think, what if? What if
Yeah.
I had have done that? Because you never did it because you were too scared or you were too worried. And your child is going to see that you do these things and later on go, oh, my mum is amazing. My mum, when they're, older to understand, this is what I hope my kids say. My mum works so hard to stay true to herself while loving us fiercely. That's
It's
what I hope. And I hope that for every mum. I really do. But you have to set that example, and everything is scary.
yeah,
I
and
do things and they're scary. But just do it anyway.
life's short. And the reality is, if you're waiting until that time that you feel that the family aren't going to need you so much, that time may never come. A, because you're not creating a dynamic where they realize it's perfectly reasonable for you not to be there all of the time. But also, there are prime times for us to embrace things in life, and often they all happen at the same time. And if you're like waiting
Mhm.
for that ideal moment to circle back to your career or your hobbies or your interests, you may have missed the boat of when you're most inspired or
Yep.
best positioned cognitively, physically, emotionally to embrace it. So I really
Yep.
encourage people not to wait because that perfect scenario day may not happen. And as you say, you then wake up one day with regret rather than figuring out a way to gently balance it all. And, there'll be balls that are dropping every other day, but as long as the crucial ones aren't dropping, then we're ahead.
Yep. Yep.
Wonderful.
And I think, if you just try and it doesn't work, then that's fine.
At
Like,
least you've tried. You've
that's
learned a
fine.
little bit
At
more about
least you
yourself.
tried. Yeah. It's all a lesson.
So, as we wrap up, can you tell me what the concept finding the you and mum actually means to you, Christina?
Oh, you know what? I think it's just for me, it's staying true to my core values and beliefs. That's the and not losing that. That's the finding you and mum for me. Because if you hold on to those, they're the real fundamentals of what builds you. And I think if you hold on to those and you follow through with those, you can be anything. You can be an incredible mother while still, you know, being grounded and loving what you do, who you are.
And have you arrived at those values easily, organically, or have you had to put time and effort into figuring them out?
I think a lot of them for me were already there before having children. I kind of already had an idea, but making them solid and work has definitely taken some time. And like I said earlier, we're always changing. So what I did think was something a few years ago has developed into something else, and my belief has changed slightly. So I think it's constant work.
It's the circling back, checking in. Does this still feel current? Do I
Yeah,
need to shift this or
yeah,
upgrade it? I agree. I think that's a really
yeah,
great approach. And it's lovely because it then suggests that us as women are always evolving and changing and growing in some ways. And using
we
our
are.
values as the foundation for it makes things easier because then we can sort of,
Yep.
it's like my true north. It makes me know, am I on track? If I feel a bit unsteady, I think, well, am I still operating in line with my values? And if I am, then that unsteadiness is okay. It could be some other explanation, but often it's like, no, I've stepped out of my values and I'm actually being a bit slack or dishonoring the things that are really important to me. And then I try to
Mhm.
put the steps in place to realign that. But thank you so much,
Yep.
Christina, for sharing your insights
Thank
today.
you.
Good luck with your trip abroad.
Oh,
That
thank you.
that's so wonderful. And my four daughters would just love to eat up everything that you're doing because, like, hair and makeup and aesthetic is so inspiring for them. They absolutely love getting excited by how people curate their
Yeah.
fashion and their. One of my daughters is actually training to be a hairdresser. So
Oh, I love that.
she's always coming home really full of excitement around the latest things you could do with people's hair. And for her, I feel like it's art. Like she really loves the
Oh,
creativity of seeing a face and seeing a mop of hair and the different ways that she can help to curate a different look for people to feel good about
yeah.
themselves.
Our industry is definitely an art, you know. We're drawing on faces or we're playing with hair, but it is an art form and,
Yes.
you know, creative stream. And if you make someone feel good on the other side of it, then there's nothing better.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the other little beautiful aspect of your career is that it is very artful. It's a creative pursuit by nature. And I guess that keeps you always interested in learning because and you're teaching people how to embrace that approach to be creative. And I always think that people are very lucky if their work easily aligns with creativity because as a human, that's really good for our well-being and our psychology. So congratulations. Thanks so much for being on the program today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You take care.
You too.